Imagine finding yourself trapped in a tunnel from which there is absolutely no escape, no matter how hard you try. Something very similar happens to these people. The story begins in a mountainous region of China, where a girl hitches a ride and gets into a man's car. Suddenly, she spots the hand of a dead body hidden under the seat. This innocent-looking man is, in reality, a serial killer. At that very moment, he stops the car and brutally murders the girl with a sharp-edged weapon. A few days later, a bus carrying a group of passengers was traveling along that same route when a radio announcement declared that due to an accident on that route, going any further was not allowed. Following this, the driver, Tony, diverted the bus onto a dirt road. Soon, a tunnel appeared right in front of the bus, a route Tony had never taken before. He started driving through it when suddenly, a man appeared right in front of the bus inside the deserted tunnel. Everyone grew terrified, wondering what on earth a lone man was doing in such an isolated place. However, the man simply boarded the bus as a passenger. One of the passengers, Lin, noticed in his newspaper that this man was actually a wanted criminal. But not wanting to court danger, Lin chose to remain silent. By now, they had been driving continuously for a full 20 minutes and passed, but the bus was still inside the tunnel. Tony knew that even crossing the country's largest tunnel takes no more than 10 minutes. Yet this tunnel just wasn't ending. Finally, everyone decided to turn back around. However, even after driving at full speed for another 30 minutes, they couldn't reach the starting point. It was a dark tunnel that seemingly had no end. Terrified, everyone stepped off the bus. Suddenly, Lin spotted his phone lying on the ground, the very same phone he had accidentally dropped at the entrance of the tunnel. Now, it was clear that this was no ordinary tunnel. Lin stepped forward and suggested that they should walk and explore ahead to find a way out. However, because of the dense darkness, anyone could easily get lost in there. To prevent this, Lin handed over his ball of woolen yarn. He took one end and started moving forward, while the other end was held by a passenger named Wang. Just then, the mysterious man who had boarded the bus inside the tunnel volunteered to go along with Lin. The man's name was Chong. After a short while, a thick fog began to roll in, and the people waiting by the bus saw two figures walking toward them from a distance. Everyone braced themselves for a confrontation, but as the figures got closer, they turned out to be none other than Lin and Chong. The tunnel was completely straight, yet somehow, instead of going forward, they had ended up right back where they started. Somehow, they had looped right back around to the exact same spot. They were truly trapped now. Realizing this, Lin distributed all the food and water supplies equally among everyone. A little later, the four men set out once again to find a way out, while the women and children stayed behind inside the bus. After a while, one of the women, Jean, noticed that in just 30 minutes, a thick layer of dust had already settled over the entire bus. Panicking, she woke everyone up and rushed them outside. Meanwhile, the four men ended up right back where they started yet again. When they checked their supplies, Tony noticed that their food had completely rotted away. This meant that inside this labyrinth, time was moving much faster compared to the real world. When they looked inside the bus, they saw the entire bus covered in a thick layer of cobwebs and dust. But right there, they discovered a map of the entire tunnel system that someone had mysteriously left behind. Lin tried to study and decipher the map, but at that exact moment, the lights went out, and Lin suddenly vanished into thin air. On the ground, they noticed drag marks, which they followed until they reached a hollow-sounding wall. Breaking it down, they entered a strange room filled with photographs of many people who had gone missing in the past. An engineering diagram of the entire facility was also lying there. According to the blueprint, there were a total of 6 interconnected rooms or tunnels in this structure. Chong calculated that in order to escape to the outside world, they would have to successfully navigate and cross all 6 of these rooms. According to his calculations, the entrance to the second tunnel would be hidden right inside this very room. While searching around, they also found a strange calendar on the wall that only showed the date of July 15th. Chong tore it down, and just as he suspected, a secret hidden door was revealed behind it. Shortly after they left, a woman appeared on the room's TV screen. She looked like she was trapped inside a tiny cave. Moving forward, the group entered the second tunnel, where they were shocked to find their bus parked in the exact same spot. However, looking at the vehicle, it seemed as though it had been abandoned there for months, covered in thick layers of grime. Inside the bus, they unexpectedly came across some instant noodles. But driven by greed and desperation, Tony suddenly drew a gun and took complete control of the food, realizing that since time in this place was moving incredibly fast, hunger was setting in rapidly, causing people to start behaving like wild animals. One of the passengers, who was a model, even agreed to get physically intimate with Tony just to get some food. Meanwhile, Wong secretly managed to steal a packet of noodles, but Tony caught him and brutally attacked him right then and there. Suddenly, in the pitch darkness, someone snuck up from behind and murdered Tony. The rest of the group could only watch in absolute shock and horror. While looking around, Wong's eyes fell upon a manhole cover on the floor of the bus. Climbing down into it, the entire group found themselves inside yet another bizarre, strange room. This time, on the TV screen, the trapped girl could be seen slowly drowning inside the cave as the water level rose. Once again, the group found themselves facing the exact same calendar, behind which lay another secret door. Passing through it, they finally reached the third tunnel. This tunnel was far darker and more deserted than the previous ones. The bus was present here as well, but it was now completely infested with snakes, looking as though it had been abandoned there for decades. Suddenly, Wong pulled out the gun and declared that every single time someone died, a secret exit was revealed. Therefore, if he had to take everyone's lives just to get out of there safely, he would gladly do so. He forcefully grabbed Jin's hand and made her pull the trigger, shooting Chong in the shoulder. Following this, he dragged the two children who were with them into a nearby room and began beating them ruthlessly, and riddled Fong with bullets. He also tried to choke Sarah to death, but before he could succeed, someone sneaked up from behind and finished him off once and for all. Following his death, the remaining survivors discovered yet another hidden passage, which opened up into the fourth tunnel. By this time, the pregnant woman, Jean, went into labor. Seeing this, Sarah and Chong teamed up and began frantically searching the bus for supplies. This sinister tunnel had a way of completely destroying people's mental stability, and because of this, Sarah started hallucinating and seeing strange, unsettling people all around her. Terrified out of her mind, she bolted out of the bus, only to find herself surrounded by mountains of dead bodies. Right there, she spotted a mirror, and inside it, she saw a horrifying reflection just before someone struck her from behind and killed her. Meanwhile, Chong, Jean, and the children tried to move forward, but along the way, Jin's newborn baby tragically passed away. Overwhelmed by grief and horror, Jean completely lost her mental stability. She snapped, grabbed a knife, and brutally stabbed Chong to death. At this point, the police and investigators were deeply baffled. In reality, the serial killer we saw at the very beginning of the story, whose name was James, had been caught by the police, but due to a massive car accident during his arrest, he was left in a deep coma. James had kidnapped and murdered several women, but a girl named Sarah was still trapped alive somewhere. Because James was unconscious and in a coma, absolutely no one else knew where she was hidden. With time running out to save her, the authorities decided to use an advanced psychotropic medical procedure. They hired a therapist to enter James's subconscious mind to locate the girl. That psychotherapist was none other than Chong himself. And in reality, the missing girl, Sarah, was Chong's own wife. This meant that everything that had happened so far was actually taking place inside the twisted mind of the serial killer, James, which we were witnessing through Chong's eyes. Through this dangerous mind link, Chong had only managed to find out that his wife was held captive somewhere near a river. However, time was running out. Due to heavy rainfall, all the caves near that river were projected to flood completely within the next 36 hours. Chong informed the police and military officers about the date July 15th that kept appearing inside the subconscious loop. Hearing this, the officer revealed that this was the exact date when James's parents had tragically died. His mother was having an affair with a driver, a dark secret that his father eventually found out about. In a fit of rage and despair, his mother killed her husband before taking her own life. Furthermore, the officer explained that James was actually a tunnel engineer by profession. This was why, when he slipped into a coma, his fractured subconscious mind began constructing this deadly, never-ending tunnel system, a labyrinth that perfectly mirrored the twisted maze of his own mind. Chang's ultimate mission inside the subconscious was to find James and pull him out, which would wake him up from his coma. However, he had never imagined that a killer's mind could be so incredibly complex and deeply pathological. As it turned out, all the passengers sitting on that bus inside his mind was the best among them, representing a fleeting glimpse of the remaining goodness inside James. Tony was the second one, who personified James's intense anger and rage. Wang embodied the personality of James's father inside his mind, because the ruthless way he was killing everyone mirrored how he used to brutally beat James's mother in real life. Sarah was the exact reflection of his mother. His mother was also a model, and just like in real life, an affair begins between her and a driver inside his subconscious mind. Jean, the pregnant woman, was like a manifestation of his dream, because he had always wished his mother could be exactly like her. But even that could not change the hatred for James in his mind, and she was killed. In the end, the children, those twin kids, represented James's childhood. But there was someone else present there who was not on the bus. It was the person who secretly murdered Lead Tommy and Bank. The next day, Qian once again entered James's mind. This time, he directly asked James about his wife. But James was not going to reveal it so easily. He said that he hated his mother because she had killed his father. That is why he kidnapped and murdered women, because they reminded him of her. But he could not be trusted. After this, he took Qian into different parts of his mind, where many scenes from his life were playing out. One section was filled with memories of James's innocent childhood. He wanted to talk to Park, but his sister Fan stopped him from revealing Sarah's location. After that, they reached a cinema hall where he finally found the man responsible for the murders in the tunnel. But it turned out to be none other than Qian himself. This meant that James's mind was so evil that whoever tried to look inside it also began to think like a killer. The evil Qian revealed that he did not want to save Sarah. He did not want that, which is why he killed everyone in the tunnel one by one and even murdered the newborn baby. After this, he brought the real Qian to a dark place where their final battle would take place. Soon, a fierce fight began. But just when the real Qian was about to win, another evil Qian appeared there. This clearly meant that evil could never truly die. Meanwhile, the rain was getting heavier, and the water had already reached Sarah's garden. At that moment, an idea came to the real Qian's mind. If he sacrificed his own life, then along with him, all the evil inside him would also die. The plan worked, and every trace of evil was erased from James's mind. At the same time, in the hospital, James finally came out of his coma and immediately told the police Sarah's location. In the end, Sarah was rescued just in time. But Qian never woke up again. He remained trapped in that tunnel forever. This was quite a complicated story, so tell us in the comments what twist you understood from it. Let's see how many people actually understood the story.